Good morning.
Hello.
Hi.
Good. Hi.
Good morning.
Hi.
Jessica.
Hi.
Shake it. Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
Pleasure to meet you. Hi. Pleasure.
You too. You guys are from Team Delta, right?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Just checking.
Good morning, Team Delta. So you have 20 minutes to present your solution to the judges. You will be given a warning by me when there are 5 and 2 minutes left. After 20 minutes, the presentation will be stopped immediately and no information will be considered after the 20 minutes have elapsed. Following your presentation, there will be a 10-minute question and answer. You will be given a warning when 2 minutes remain. The question and answer will be stopped after 10 minutes, and you may begin when you are ready.
Good morning. We are Team Delta. My name is Andressa. This is Amori, Leana, and Carlos. And today we're here to present Bayer, Turning Over a New Leaf. So going over our agenda, we're going to begin with a quick introduction, then followed by our analysis on the case study, followed by the solutions we believe are best to be implemented, then backed up with the timeline of when these solutions will be implemented, financials to back up everything that we're saying, and then followed by the Q&A. So starting off with Bayer's sustainability history and future, we have to go way back to 1863, when the multinational pharmaceutical company was founded in Germany. Only about 100 years later was the first environmental protection efforts created after an oil crisis. Followed by 2008, there was an award for environmentally friendly technologies for CO2 emission reduction technology and power consumption. And more recently, in 2020, we had the Carbon Initiative program implemented, which I'll dive into right now. So the Carbon Initiative program, the mission is to be the leading force in agriculture decarbonization, which focuses on the farmer while recognizing changes not only in capital market, consumer behaviors, as well as policies. The way this is implemented is through premiums granted by Bayer for these farmers who are participating in carbon trading market, implementing carbon smart initiatives, as well as complying to lower production costs. This is the strategy of carbon credit. Basically, carbon credit is when a company gives the opportunity to offset the carbon emissions. And to simplify this with a visual, imagine company A, which is emitting a lot of carbon dioxide, and then there's company B, which already has certain implementations for sustainability. Basically, company A will buy off the opportunity from company B, and this will have the net emission turn into zero. For our framework, we chose the triple bottom line: people, profit, and planet. For people, we're dealing with farmers. So farmers have generous incentives in order to really implement sustainability efforts, in order to really help with these carbon emissions. So with these sustainability efforts, Bayer is a primary leader in this section in really helping especially low-income countries and supported by their vision. Followed by profits. Here, as we see in the triple bottom line, the profit just makes sense because it's a first mover initiative. So with Bayer being this leader in the market, they really have an example for all the other companies. Followed by planet. So sustainability, obviously great for the planet, and it just makes more sense in order to really implement all these solutions. It's important to notice that the goals were developed based on the UN Sustainability Development Goals, so it's just important to keep these in mind as we go forward in the presentation. Now I'll pass it to Liana to talk more about our solutions.
Yes, so our task was finding more solutions for this initiative. And these are a couple alternatives that we considered, but we really wanted to focus on what their farmers are experts in, how we can set an example for other businesses to follow. And our solutions really focus on attainability and how easily it is to replicate. Because we've seen Bayer have dozens of partnerships with great initiatives, great technology solutions, and we really want to utilize those to be able to implement them throughout this entire supply chain, and they're already existing. So we'll talk about how we'll enhance those existing partnerships. We'll also talk about a sequestration solution that we have, and then as well as how we're going to attract the entire market to really implement these long term. So speaking about the carbon market, the carbon trade market, In blue, you'll see countries that are already participating, and in green, you'll see countries that are maybe participating in some way or who will be participating very soon. So it is the majority of the world, but the Carbon Initiative cannot be implemented fully in the entire world if not all countries are participating fully. So we are going to look at other goals that Bayer has in this area. They want to positively support 100 million smallholder farmers. Right now they support around 42 million. They also want to reduce their emissions by 42% by 2030, and they have invested $540 million US into these initiatives. So to give an example of some of the partnerships they have, these are just a few. They are carbon tracking technologies, irrigation technologies, and one that we really want to highlight, pretty much all of Bayer's partnerships work together. One that they founded was Better Life Farming, and this one has already proven to be very successful and very scalable. So they already have over 2,000 locations, positively impacting over 1 million farmers in the world in Indonesia, India, Mexico, and Bangladesh. So what we want to do to make this more scalable is we want to focus on India because they do have a small presence there, but there is 90 to 150 million farmers in India. There's 22 million in Kenya and around 38 million in Uganda. So while we can't fully implement the Carbon Initiative until they are fully in the carbon market, we can improve the sustainable practices and go towards our vision, which is health for all and hunger for none. So the way that the Better Farming Initiative works is that they provide farmers with agriculture inputs that really help them grow their crops with the resources they have and have better nutrition. They have waste management such as irrigation and pesticide control, safety solutions. All of these increase their yields and their revenue. And a concern of this in the past has been that partnerships end up allowing these farmers to be in debt to them. But the Better Farming Initiative provides creative financial solutions as well as providing management education, which really helps these communities have generational impacts and knowledge where they can sustain their own communities, which is very important. So with this attainable expansion, I'll hand it over to Amori.
Thank you. All right, so as you can clearly see, we do believe in leveraging new technological solutions in order to achieve sustainability goals. So, bamboo, it's an ancient plant, but we do believe that it is the future of carbon capture solutions. Now, first off, let's talk a little bit about bamboo. So, believe it or not, bamboo actually does restore marginal land to peak productivity in a short period of time. And of course, if you may not know, marginal land is land that's been used intensively for agriculture and now is depleted of nutrients. So bamboo can help restore that. And in addition, bamboo is one of the fastest growing plants, with some species growing at 3 feet every 24 hours. And in addition to this, they produce 30% more O2 than trees in the same amount of area. And also, bamboo can be planted in mountainous areas where typically you can't grow traditional crops such as wheat or barley, etc. So, how does it sequester carbon and how much can it sequester? Well, to put it bluntly, vast amounts, both through the biomass in the forest that they grow in and through the long-lasting materials that you can actually make out of bamboo, like furniture or building materials, etc. So, in order to visualize this, over 60 years, 1 hectare of bamboo forest can store over 306 metric tons of carbon. And I just really want to make it a bit more of a good visualization. With an investment of around $52 million, you could purchase around 33,000 hectares with 2,000 to 2,400 plants per hectare. And in doing that, over 60 years, you could sequester 8.3 megatons. 8.3 megatons. That is 8.3 million tons of carbon dioxide back into the earth. That is massive, with just a $52 million investment. Now, of course, you might be wondering, that's fantastic, but how is this economically viable? Well, believe it or not, bamboo is actually one of the most economical plants to grow. It costs between $800 to $1,300 per hectare to develop. You can plant around 2,000 to 2,400 plants per hectare at around $30 a plant. And just with before carbon taxes or carbon credits, etc., you can earn $60,000 a year just from selling the wood that you make from the bamboo. And this is in a market worth, or estimated to be worth, $82.9 billion by 2028. So this isn't small fry. And on top of all that, bamboo is one of the most maintenance-free crops. It pretty much just grows anywhere. Now, of course, it's also environmentally beneficial. It helps prevent desertification, it helps prevent soil erosion, it helps promote water percolation and infiltration into the soil. They can survive forest fires and grow back within a year. And actually, several countries are already using bamboo in their sustainable land management programs. And INBAR, a consortium of several bamboo-producing countries, they've already committed to planting 6 million hectares by 2030. Now, of course, how are we going to do this? Well, through our implementation, we believe in making partnerships, or we believe in making partnerships with smallholder farms to grow bamboo as carbon offsets. And in order for them to learn the knowledge, in order to develop this, we believe in partnering with the company EcoPlanet Bamboo. They're a large established grower in Latin America, Africa, and Asia, and they can provide farmers with the knowledge and the know-how on how to grow bamboo. And finally, we also believe in incentivizing the growing of bamboo directly with our smallholder farmers. And now I'm going to pass it back to Andressa, who's going to explain a bit more about how we are going to sell our solutions to our customers.
So how do we really bring this all into an attractive market? Our three main players here are the farmers, the industry, and world and society. For farmers, there's three main initiatives that they really should be incentivized. First of all, economic. So there's the short-term economic benefits as well as the long-term. The short-term obviously being the incentives that Bayer is providing them, as well as the long-term with the benefits of crops being in a better position to be sold and bringing more profit into the farmers. The second one, sustainability. Obviously caring about their farms and thinking long-term, sustainability efforts will really benefit farmers, not only short-term, but also long-term. And lastly, something that they can't even have in their own industry is the flexibility that we allow them by being resilient. So Bayer provides a lot of flexibility when implementing and working directly with these farmers, as we know that the nature of natural disasters can occur, and this can really offset farmers' plans. So Bayer has a lot of flexibility when it comes to implementing solutions so that it can work hand in hand and work for both parties. Going into the industry, Bayer is really setting an example for other competitors, which really incentivizes other companies to follow in the same path and really focus on these initiatives to set carbon net emissions to zero. Followed by world and society, we have been seeing an upward scale of consumers having a desire for the sustainable development, sustainable lifestyle, so it really will help the brand image of Bayer as well. I will pass it to Liana, which will talk about the timeline of our solutions.
So a brief timeline, these initiatives are already in place, so we can start our expansion of our small farmholder initiatives now, as well as partnering with bamboo growth initiatives to be in our global operating regions by 2025, reach our 2030 goals, also adapt to the carbon credit market by 2040. We think it'll really take off and really influence huge industries to make the difference so that we can truly provide hunger for none. We need other industries to be involved, and then not only will we reach our net zero goals, but other industries will see the solutions for this as well. So is this financially viable?
And now, I think you've all heard a very compelling argument for all the solutions. They're great. But now we have to focus on the financials, and we have to focus on the costs and the possible market opportunities that these represent. So first, let's focus on the carbon program. So the carbon program in this scenario is going to be focusing only on U.S. Although rest assured, Bayer pays the same to all its per acre to all of its members, right, regardless of where they are. So first, the United States has about 2 million farms in the United States, of which about 88% are small family farms. The average size of the small family farms are 281 acres, so that's not too small. But the payments range from between $3 and $9. And the average payment per small family farm is, if you take a middle ground of $6, just under $1,700. So that's obviously $1,700 per farm. There's a lot of farms in the United States that can add up quick. These, however, are offset by the carbon credits that these generate and that Bayer starts to keep, and they can either resell it at the market or start to implement it in different areas of their own operations. So again, Maury already talked about this. The bamboo is a great strategy, but I want to really focus on the market size. It's already a huge market, $56 billion. and it's predicted to grow to almost 83 billion in just 8 years. It's got a CAGR, or a compound annual growth rate, of about 5.7%. So again, it represents how other industries are starting to see the hidden values that bamboo really stores. And now we want to focus on two emerging markets that are going to be Brazil and India. And these are already, Bayer already has a foothold in these, either by the carbon program or through initiatives like the Better Farming Life. So with Brazil, again, the CAGR might not look too impressive. I divided them in three slots of 5 years. So for the previous 5 years, for the first 5 years, sorry, it's only about 2.81 CAGR, followed by 437, and then 593. While those numbers might not seem huge, it does represent a significant increase every 5 years. And it's starting to show that smallholder farmers holding about 80% of the farms in Brazil is a great opportunity to keep expanding. And now India. India is the most impressive one of them all. For the past 5 years, its CAGR is of 11%, and its predicted CAGR for the next 5 years is 12%. And they're supposed to almost double their value by 2026, reaching over $1 trillion by then. So it's a huge market with smallholder farmers of 86% of the entire farming industry. However, there have been some complications due to some laws that have restricted small farmers in India to interact with outside investors, but those have been relaxed in the last year or two, which has started to increase demand and interest in India. And then finally, our conclusion. I think the team developed a really good strategy that it was ambitious yet realistic. Again, we want to make sure that we enhance our existing partnerships and relationships with other organizations. We want to expand further into the emerging markets and into the developing markets as well. Again, we want to focus with bamboo as a new alternative solution to carbon sequestration, and we want to focus our attractions again on the people, the farmers, and the industries. Thank you for your time. We'll look forward to your questions.
You may begin with your questions whenever you're ready.
So, help me understand, and I was trying to listen really carefully, the alternatives. So, you're looking at this broader initiative for Bayer, right? What strategies do you implement, what models to attack this problem? So, again, what alternatives in this broad sense did you consider, and how did that analysis land you at Bamboo?
I guess I can take that. So first off, we really wanted to go for a creative solution to this because I'm sure you've always heard like the typical carbon capture plants, etc., all that, or just let's just use all renewables. We really wanted to go with something unique that maybe not many people have heard of, and that could actually be very, very financially viable. It's clear to see. And like through bamboo, like we actually did some research on this. There is actually 33 million hectares currently throughout the world. So that, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that is around, they can do like 4 gigatons of carbon, like a sequestration in the soil. So it's clearly, and I believe yearly emissions like currently are like 12 gigatons a year. So just the world's bamboo forest can take a lot of carbon out of the atmosphere. And it's all natural, it's low maintenance, it's low investment, like you don't need to build millions to build a factory. We thought it was a pretty viable solution.
But again, what were the alternatives that you considered versus?
Well, we considered things like GMOs, and that's one of the big ones for Bayer. And again, Bayer has such a good handling of most areas. Even, it was kind of complicated for us to find new and creative ideas because every time we try to search something and we thought we had something, we'd find a little nugget of information that said Bayer had already invested or they already had a program in it. So we really try to take an approach. It would have been much easier to just say increase funding of GMOs, increase funding of carbon capture, the typical and the more mainstream ideas, obviously. But again, those are the mainstream. Those are already being done really well and are being funded really well. We wanted to look at ideas that might have slipped under the radar and have a potential big upside and low cost.
Thanks.
So when you picked bamboo as a strategy, what is the competitive advantage for Bayer in doing that? Why is only Bayer capable of doing that?
Well, it's not just Bayer capable of doing that. Any company could do it. It's just that it seems that most people are focusing, again, the more attention is being given to the classics, the GMOs, carbon capture, but nobody's really focusing on these, maybe not as popular, maybe not as enticing, but still hugely beneficial as we presented in the data. So this is kind of a race against the clock. People are, as we showed in the market growth, people are catching up, industries are catching up to the knowledge that bamboo is a really good source, not only for environmentally friendly carbon sequestration, but it can also be used in construction, it can be used with tables, chairs, so it's got a lot of positive applications beyond just the environmental aspects.
And
Sorry.
no, that's all right. In addition to that as well, we wanted to really leverage buyers, partnerships with their suppliers, all the small farmers. I mean, clearly they're the market leader there, so especially we need people on the ground, and having those farmers there, especially in areas where there's like high deforestation, like Brazil, for example, having those partnerships is going to be key, and we know the buyer's the leader in that. So.
That's definitely interesting. My question is, how do you guys feel people are going to react about having 60 million hectares of bamboo around the world?
There's already like 33 million, if I'm not mistaken. And the thing is it grows in very terrible soil. So anywhere where nobody would ever think to even grow anything else, you could plant some bamboo. And not only that, but you could also help restore that lost land as well. Especially one of the main areas we were really looking for this was Brazil. As we know, Amazon, it's been heavily deforested. And if I'm not mistaken, 2 million hectares in 2020 have been just destroyed. And of course, it's very destructive when they do that. When they do the slash and burn agriculture, it just completely depletes the soil. So in bringing that bamboo there, it can help, maybe encourage, some other plants to move in. It'll start, recharging the soil and.
Yeah, I think I'm trying to get to what kind of risks you consider to approach.
I'll go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, yeah,
So for the risks, there's really one potential risk, which is that it grows rapidly and out of control. It's an invasive species of plant. So for that, obviously, it is a problem, but it is a problem that can be confronted, that can be dealt with. But the potential upside of that is still magnificently larger than the cost of it being an invasive species. So we did weigh up the cost of the negatives and the positives, but we still think that the positives vastly outweighed that one very glaring negative.
So are you suggesting that, for example, Bayer retires the approach that exists in the USA and then pivot to this?
No, this is just supplementary. We want to make sure that, to lay it out, that Bayer's approach has been magnificent. And that's the reason why we decided to take a creative approach, is because just how well Bayer's doing. We wanted to take this creative approach as a supplement to what's already being done to add on to that. But we don't want to take anything away from Bayer. It's a great strategy.
So, another question. Sorry. How does that actually connect with the company mission, this health for all, hunger for none?
So the whole carbon offset is, first of all, how farmers get paid, and second of all, bamboo is becoming, this is a little more off topic, but it's becoming more in demand as plastic replacements and as consumers shift towards more sustainable practices. So it's very easy to, first of all, teach farmers, because Bayer already has a very good educational farming system, so it'll be very easy to teach these farmers how to do that, and they are easily able to make money off of the bamboo market because it's growing.
To add that, it's basically just an addition to what farmers already are implementing, as well as the additional solution of having that funding from Bayer. So not only can they get revenue from selling the bamboo, but they also get the revenue from the incentives from Bayer.
You go to your financials slide.
Yeah.
Can you help me understand the return here on investment and who gets what? So
Right, so sorry, can you repeat?
the return on investment for Bayer and
Right.
the return on investment for the farmer.
Right, so the farmer, again, the payment that Bayer has structured, it goes from $3 to $9 per acre, and it all depends on what implementation the farmer does. That can be soil tilling or crop covers, so it all depends on how much they do. They can get the maximum of $9 an acre. So that payment obviously goes directly to the farmers, an incentive for them to do that.
Yeah.
And what happens is Bayer then receives a carbon credit because the farmers then log through their electronic devices that they have paired with Bayer. They log in their emissions, they log in how, their practices, their current practices, and that starts showing the changes. That creates carbon credits that can then be used to either go to more, carbon emitting areas of Bayer's business, where it can be sold in the market for a profit for Bayer.
So the financials for Bayer, how does that look?
In addition to that as well, like in confronting the cost of the actual bamboo itself, as I said in one of the earlier slides, it's around $30 per plant, and you can get around $2,000 to $2,400 per hectare. So pretty much $60,000 per hectare. But you can also make $60,000 in the first year off of the bamboo products that you can do. So it's relatively not a bad investment.
But if he's trying to track along the thinking here, so but if you look at the whole value stream that you're talking about, I think the players on each part of the value stream, pardon me, are going to be different. So for example, the benefits received from furniture is going to be different than the cost of actually planting, maintaining, et cetera. So there's winners in each different, winners and losers along the value stream. So I think the question kind of gets to, so what's in it for the farmer? What's in it for Bayer? I'm trying to see how Bayer makes money here by incentivizing farmers to plant bamboo. I think is what you're saying, but I'm not sure.
Right, so let me rephrase it in a different way. So, okay, so again, there is an incentive, a financial incentive for the farmer to go ahead and take these initiatives that Bayer is recommending. That then means an increase in money for the farmer. So that's their approach. They get money for implementing practices at very little cost. So Bayer, what they receive in turn is better, it serves their mission of sustainability. It starts to decrease that, and it gets them closer to the 2030 goal. But besides then, the financial aspect as well, the carbon costs right now for this carbon credit cost at $31. That was about last night from the California carbon market. In Europe, it's about 74 euros. So it all depends on the market that they're selling, but they can get a real return from those carbon markets and from those carbon credits. And depending on how many carbon credits they get per farmer, they can increase their revenue stream, or they can at least be at net zero in most cases.
All right, thank you, team. Your question and answer session is over, and whenever you're ready, you can follow me to exit the room.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.